Hello, everyone. We'll give it a minute for people to join the webinar, and then we'll get started. I know sometimes it takes a few seconds for people to load the webinar. People are still coming in. So while I'm waiting, let me tell you, I'm from Minneapolis, and we had snow yesterday. It's April 5th. It was April 5th yesterday, and we got snow. Excited to see the weather gets a little warmer and waiting for spring. All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone. My name is Mynul Khan. I'm the founder and CEO of Field Nation. I am really excited about the study that I'm about to share with you all. But before I do that, I thought I'd give you a brief overview of Field Nation, especially for those who may not be familiar with who we are. So Field Nation is the largest field services labor platform that connects businesses that have large nationwide field service need with local skilled and experienced technicians and engineers, or even small service companies to get the field service work done. The platform connects thousands of businesses with tens of thousands of service professionals. So over a period of time, over the years, we delivered millions of work worth billions of dollars and provided services close to 500,000 service locations across North America. It's an incredibly vibrant and fast-growing marketplace. And being one of the largest contractor labor platform, we have a unique advantage to talk to thousands of technicians across many different geographies and markets and understand the overall state of the industry. So I will tell you who did the research. We didn't do it. We engaged with one of the leading market research firm. I'll explain to you why this research, I believe, is so incredibly timely and is so critical given the state of our industry. Of course, I'll share with you the key insights and highlights, and most importantly, what it tells us about the industry we are in and where we go next. And we'll have two polling questions toward the end of the presentation. Would love to hear from you on what your takeaways from this session. So let's get started. For this research, we partnered with a leading customer insight research firm, a firm named Radius. They do over 1 million quantitative survey a year. And specific to this research, our service professional responded to a 10-minute online study, and we received close to 1,000 completed surveys. So it's a very, very rich data set. The study focused primarily on contractors' perception on field service contracting, including assessing the barriers and benefits. So the question is, why did we do this now? You know, our last market research for field technicians was done in 2016. So it's been a while. It's been 6-7 years. And the market looks quite different now versus back in 2016. Today, the industry have more work than ever before and not enough skilled professionals who can do it. That's what we've been seeing and we've been hearing from the industry consistently over the last couple of years. Our customers tell us they're having a hard time finding technicians on their own. They're asking us if we have enough technicians in the network to support their work, and whether our network is growing or it's shrinking. So the probably the most important question is, why is there a labor shortage? What's causing that, right? There are three major trends in the market. We believe these three trends are very, very sticky and long-term, here to stay. First, what we call silver tsunami. As you can see, 1/3 of the workers 50 years of age or older. And our partner Service Council did a similar survey with field engineers. They also found similar data point. In fact, their data suggests that 50% of IT technicians are 45 years or older. In fact, I think it's not a field, IT or telecom field service thing. Trade workers across the market, whether it's IT, electrician, telecom, plumbers, carpenters, across all trades, there's the growing majority is 50 years or older. So there is an aging population issue in trades business. And combine that with historic low unemployment. According to CompTIA study, less than 2% unemployment in this space. And I have a suspicion that not enough young folks getting into the business, although our research didn't cover this topic, but you can make an educated guess what's happening here. You got on one side, growing workers over 50 years or older. And on the other side, you have a very, very tight labor market. And you can see that it's probably called because of the not enough young folks, young generation joining the workforce. And then combine that with this massive tailwind in the business, which is massive amount of technology getting deployed everywhere, from retail to home, to offices, to restaurants, to warehouse, you name it. And all this requires expert to install, maintain, refresh, and then all these devices need to be connected to network via network infrastructure, cabling infrastructure, and then all these devices then need to be connected to the cloud, to the back office servers, all that. So with all these market shifts, the changing landscape that we're seeing, we wanted to understand what's happening with the independent workers that are already in the market. What's the makeup of the workforce from the experience standpoint, skill and training standpoint? Are there enough people to support the work? And these contractors, are they really qualified? If they're, and then, the probably one of the key important question here is that if these workers are really over 50 years of age, how long do they expect to be working in the space, right? So here's what the research summary looks like. Let me start with that, and I'll dig into the detail in a bit in the following slides. So the first thing is experience. Vast majority of contractors have decades of experience, including full-time field work experience, and later on in their lives, they decided to be independent by choice because they value flexibility, control, and autonomy. They love what they do. They grew up in the profession of technical work. It's the work of passion for many. And being independent business owners brings them a lot of joy and a lot of pride. And although many are indeed over 50 years of age, they plan to stay on board as contractors and continue to work for many, many years to come. And then platforms like Field Nation make contracting more accessible for both sides, for both the service buyers that are looking for the talent and the professionals who are looking for opportunities. So let's get into the detail. Okay, this is one of the key highlights for me. Close to 70% of the independent contractors have over a decade of experience. This is the biggest myth buster, I tell you, because when I talk to a company never used independent contractors before, not very familiar with this, the most frequently asked question would be, how qualified are they? Can they do what my W-2, the full-time employees, do? And you can see from this data, the independent contractors are very, very qualified. In fact, majority of the technicians decided to go independent because they have confident that over a decade of experience, they can be on their own. I remember meeting with a technician who shared his story of how he got started with Field Nation. I'd like to share this with you. Um, it's a recent story. He had 20 years of IT technician experience as full-time employee, but then during COVID, he got laid off. Then one of his friends from few states away sent him a message asking that, hey, try Field Nation. And now, couple years into, using Field Nation, now he has IT services business. He doesn't plan to go back to full-time anymore. When I talked to him, he said he feels that he's in full control of his destiny now. He said, I have 20 years of experience. I know the work. I can work as much as I want to, earn as much as I want. And then if I like to slow down, I can slow down. I can control how fast I want to go or how slow I want to go. He's in control. And you'll see this theme throughout the study, that technicians with experience choosing to take control of their destiny by becoming independent contractor. They love what they do. They love the flexibility and the freedom, and they think of themselves as business owners. And as a fellow entrepreneur myself, I find it really exciting that our platform is enabling thousands of individuals, tens of thousands of individuals, to pursue their own dreams, to have their own business. Anyway, this result also coincides with our partner Service Council's field engineer study that I mentioned before. They also found that 63% of their respondents say that they have more than 10 years of experience. So the next question is, do they work outside of Field Nation? And I frequently meet our service providers, the independent contractors, who will explain to me that they have their own business outside of Field Nation. And Field Nation will augment their revenue, their income, and their business. So this data, in some ways, not very surprising to me, that vast majority of our technicians do work outside of Field Nation, both in IT work and trades. But what's really surprising to me from this data is that our field service providers have remote IT and help desk experience, as well as project management experience. And I know from talking with many of our customers that they have frequent need for help desk workers, project managers, and oftentimes they struggle to find qualified people. So I think we have an opportunity here to connect service buyers who have these types of need with the professionals in our network who can do the help desk work or project management work. But not only that, I also frequently hear from our customers that they're looking for qualified electricians or people who know electrical work, construction work, etc. And this data suggests that about 20% of our technician population have electrical and construction experience. So I think there is an opportunity for us here for better connect the supply and demand for these types of work. So the next question we asked is, do you have contracting experience? And let me explain the reason behind it. You can see that, a service professional very likely going to know their craft, meaning that they know how to do the job. But being a contractor, it means you're essentially running your own business. You need to know how to sell yourself, how to market yourself, how to keep the customers happy so they keep coming back with more work, manage your cash flow, all of that, right? So being independent contractor is much more than knowing how to do the work. And the good news is that technicians that we surveyed shows that they have on average over 11 years of experience. It tells me that they're experienced business owners, not just they only know how to do the work, but they know how to sustain a business, which is incredible. If I see two technicians, two independent contractors talking at an event, oftentimes I'll hear them giving each other business advice, not so much of how to do the work, because they probably already know how to do the work, but they're giving and sharing each other how to be successful as business. And this is a way for to share and kind of help the community to get better at running their business in a sustainable way. I find it really interesting. The next question we asked, if they have training and certifications to do their job. And 76% have IT-related formal training or education, and 60% have IT certifications. Again, the point here is that the contractors are choosing the IT as their profession, and they're investing their time and money to get the necessary education, the skill they need, so they can be successful at it. And labor platforms like Field Nation are uniquely positioned to send this skilled and experienced technician to thousands of geographically dispersed sites at once. Because platform like Field Nation, we only focus on technical skilled work. We bring in companies that need technical workers, which leads to more technical work, which leads to attracting more technical workers as opposed to non-technical workers. As for the certifications, I wasn't so surprised to see that CompTIA Plus was ranked the top certification. Oftentimes, it's viewed as the basic certification for IT technicians. Although I was a bit surprised to see that 20% have Microsoft certification. In any case, 76% service providers on the platform have formal IT-related training and education, which is remarkable. Again, it tells that the contractors are investing in them to be better qualified for the job they do. So the next question I think is very important. Are they happy? Are they satisfied doing what they do? And as I mentioned in the earlier slide, that being an independent contractor is more than knowing how to work on a specific job. It's about running a business. It does have some complexities, as you can imagine. So we wanted to understand, are these people satisfied? Are they happy? Because if they're not, we'll see attrition in the workforce. And that's not going to be good for anybody in the community, because on top of a historic labor shortage, we don't want to lose any more workers that are available out there. But so the good news is that vast majority, 82%, strongly agree that the work they do is very satisfying for them. And you'll see another data point a little bit later, that 62% said they prefer to work as independent contractors only. So the learning here is that the field service technicians are overwhelmingly enjoying the work they do. So the question is, why? Why do they like being independent contractor? Flexibility, control, and autonomy were listed among the most cited reason for choosing independent contracting. And it's very obvious flexibility has numerous benefits. 78% mentioned that after becoming independent contractor, they're spending more time with their family. 71% said they have better work-life balance after they become independent contractors. I remember meeting with one gentleman last fall. He shared with me that he used to work for Target Corporation for 30 plus years, and then he retired. Then a friend of his asked him to join Field Nation for occasional work. So he did, with the hope that, every now and then he'll pick up some work. To his surprise, he really liked the flexibility. And now he works almost every day for a few hours. He explained to me that he's now part-time retired and part-time working. And he's enjoying his retirement more with the flexibility of the work that he does. He feels that he's in charge of deciding what work he wants, when he wants to do the work. He has that balance. He's in control, and he's really enjoying that. And it's a very common story that we hear. I was surprised, though, when I saw only 20% cited that the reason they do contracting work is for additional income. I thought that number would be a little bit more than that. But again, the key here is that vast majority values flexibility and autonomy, and that's why they're choosing to be independent contractor. And in the next question, we wanted to understand what do they prefer? They prefer to be independent contractor, or do they prefer a traditional job, a full-time job? Vast majority, 62%, as I mentioned before, 62% prefer to be independent. Again, they value flexibility, they value autonomy, and that's why they chose to be independent. And for this segment, this 60% plus segment, independent contracting is their primary way of working. But we also know that for some contractors, they may have part-time or full-time job, and they do contracting on the side. That's that next segment, that 30 some percent there. But what's surprising to me here in this data is that only 2% said they like to be full-time employee only. Only 2% prefer to be only full-time. And it's actually a little bit surprising for me. So, but then, I connected the dots with the labor shortage, because I think this gives me a little bit clarity of, now I understand why labor shortage is so pronounced in traditional full-time field service role. So in our next question, we explore how long they plan to stay in business, because as you saw that, many are over 50 years of age. But again, this is a key highlight from the research. Close to 50% see themselves working 6 to 10 years or more, 30% up to 5 or so years. In some ways, this is not surprising, right? Because you heard my story about a technician who I met in an event, who retired from a big corporation. And for him, being a contractor is working great. He's retired, semi-retired, call it, but he's contracting and it's working great. He explained he can work as much or as little as he wants. He does not want to be fully retired. The work that he gets from the platform supplements his income. It keeps him close to the work that he always enjoyed doing for last 30, 40 years as full-time technician. And it gets him a chance to get out and meet new people, and he enjoys that. It's a story of many technicians on the platform. Although we do hear from our service buyers, companies that are hiring full-time technicians, that they're having a hard time finding qualified and experienced technicians. But, we, on the other hand, at Field Nation, we are seeing that hundreds of technicians are signing up on our platform on a weekly basis. And so this data kind of explain, why that's the case. So the next question we wanted to understand, what are the top challenges being an independent contractor? There has to be some challenge, right? No matter what you do, whether you're a full-time employee or a part-time employee or a contractor, whether you're a field service technician or an engineer, no matter what we do, there has to be some challenge, and we wanted to understand what are those challenges for for being an independent contractor. As I mentioned before, being a contractor is much more than just knowing how to do the job. It's about running a small business, whether it's one person or few people. And like many small businesses, contractors can also have difficulty predicting their income, predicting their revenue. The research also kind of brought some lights into the unpredictable nature of scheduling, and that could make the independent contractor income and revenue a bit more volatile. And in some ways, this is the other side of the coin for flexibility, which we know now that is one of the most valued reason for people to choose independent contracting. So you get the flexibility, but it also comes with a little bit of volatility and unpredictability in the income or maybe with the schedule. But an important takeaway for me from this data, that almost all the respondents who participated in the survey, they shared that they would be interested in taking more work from the platform. So bringing more work, better work, is a top priority for us at Field Nation, so that our providers can find the work when they want it. So this is one of the very last questions we asked, and we wanted to understand, if they do leave contracting work, what would be the primary reason for it? And not surprising, given the age demographics, nearly 40% mentioned it would be retirement, and only 27% said it could be because of the full-time work. So to me, the key takeaway is that the silver tsunami, this aging population in the trades, is the primary headwind that we are all facing as a community. So now that you heard the study, I shared our learning here from the research that we have done with our partner Radius. I'm really interested to hear from you. What did you find most interesting? What did you find surprising? And take a moment to respond. We'll give it a minute here so you can respond to the poll. But while you're doing that, I'll tell you my biggest surprise, although it's not listed in the poll, but my personal surprise was to see that there's a pretty big segment of population who have done or still do help desk work, remote IT work. They do project management work. People have experience in electrical work, construction work. I think this is an opportunity for us to explore. All right. So I think hopefully you can all see the poll result, but so the biggest surprise was that 98% technicians prefer working as independent contractors. So most of you find that that's the surprising fact there. And then the second came, technicians have decade of experience. Yeah, like I said, to me, this is a myth buster out there. This notion, people have this misperception, false conception that these technicians may not be as qualified as a full-time technician, but that's not true. Many actually were full-time before choosing to be independent contractors. So hopefully you all find this data really interesting and valuable. So let's move on. So the question is, where does this take us from here, right? So clearly, the strongest tailwind in the space is this digital transformation happening pretty much anywhere we go, whether it's smart retail to smart home or healthcare, warehouse, you name it. uh, Digital transformation is touching every place and it's accelerating everywhere. But the biggest headwind is this aging population. Although the workers themselves see themselves working for many years to come, but when they leave the workforce, as they will eventually leave at some point, whether it's 5, 6 years, 10 years down the road, it may leave a vacuum. It may leave a void if this doesn't get backfilled by the newer generation. So we'll have a big problem as a community of field service providers. So but I do think that there is an opportunity for us to take advantage of this highly experienced workforce that exists today and use them to mentor the next generation. And I can tell you, I have met so many people who said they will be willing and they would love to mentor the next generation. They're excited. They have this life experience. They're excited to share. And so I think we need to take advantage of that. And I also think that our community need to do a better job promoting that there is a great career opportunity in technology field service. I'm not sure if most young folks, whether they're going into college or coming out of college, they even know that this path even exists, right? So as a community, we have work to do to ensure new generation, younger generation, and not only are aware, but also excited about the career opportunity in field service space. So here's my last poll. I would love to hear from you, your takeaways from this session, and how this information may impact your thinking around the labor model if you do field service work today. And take a few moments to provide that feedback, and this feedback will also help us shape our future content for you as well. And as you are doing that, I'll close this session with the summary here. Like I said, the research was done by our partners, one of the leading market research firm called Radius. And this research is one of a kind. Field service is unique. It's not covered by most analyst firm out there. And there is a rapidly changing landscape. And this research particularly brings a unique insight from independent contractors' perspective. And as you saw, that vast majority of contractors have decades of experience, including full-time, field work experience. And later on, they decided to be independent by choice because they value flexibility and autonomy. They love what they do. They grew up in the profession, and technical work is work of passion for many. And so being an independent business owner, as they oftentimes will introduce themselves, that brings them a lot of pride and a lot of joy. And although many are indeed over 50 years of age, they plan to stay on board as contractor for many, many years to come, because they do enjoy this flexible work arrangement through the platform like Field Nation. And platform like Field Nation make contracting more accessible for both for the service buyers and for the service providers as well. So this is the end of my presentation, but I would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, please do send it my way via the Q&A icon. You'll see that at the bottom of the Zoom screen. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think about this? What questions you have? So I would love to hear from you. So we'll give it a moment to see if there's any questions. Okay. So here's a question. With insights shared around experience and skills, experience, skill, and training, how does this translate into delivering quality outcomes with clients? Great question. In fact, I love any question around quality. we get a lot of question around quality of techs. Especially with the new service buyers who never experienced independent contractors before, or even the one that are working with independent contractors today, they question about the tech quality all the time. But I think the question we should be asking is quality outcome, not so much of tech quality. Here's why. The data that we all saw, the data clearly shows the techs have decades of experience. Many were someone's full-time quality techs before they'd become independent contractors, right? So if you don't get quality outcome, I think we should ask, what's the most fundamental difference when a tech is full-time and doing quality work versus, or even, an independent contractor doing a great job for certain customers and not so for certain other customers? What's the reason behind it? And I believe, and I have seen this for 15 years, it comes down to the process. It's the process. You can send the most qualified person, and if the process is broken and cumbersome, burdensome, the outcome is not going to be great. And you can imagine when an independent contractor goes from one job to the next job with different companies that he's or she is working for, the process changes and it creates friction. So our job as the platform provider, we want to ensure that these quality technicians can provide quality outcome. And our job is going to be to remove the friction from the system and from the process. But that's a great question. I love answering question around quality. Okay, here's another question. What advice do you have for managing through the labor crisis and ensuring support of critical projects? How should I be thinking about the labor model? Great question. So we hear these questions oftentimes that, what's the labor model? What kind of labor model is right for me? And the answer is it depends on a few things. For example, you got to understand your customer need. That's number one. You got to understand your customer's need. What are you committed to do for your customers? That's number one. From there, figure out which model of labor, whether full-time W-2 technicians or independent contractors or outsourcing to a sub, gives you the coverage that you need to provide to your customers, the margin that you need to aim for your profitability, the quality that you need to maintain that your customer demand from you. So for companies, it could vary. The model could vary. Some companies we see it's all done through independent contractors through a platform like FieldNation. Some companies will have blended model, which is the full-time employees plus the independent contractors, which also works very nicely. But whichever model you go with, you need to constantly fine-tune that model, because there is no steady state in this model, because your customer's need is changing, your customer geographic coverage is, your geographic need is changing. The technology that you're deploying today is going to be different tomorrow. But I can tell you the most fundamental principle is to look for agility and flexibility in coverage, because your customers' need will continue to evolve. And so that's number one. And the second is you cannot have waste in the system, because then you'll end up losing your customer because you're overpriced, or you'll end up losing your business because you're losing money. Whether that waste in the system comes from, having, bench time, overtime, drive time, you name it, or having unnecessary margin stacking by the subs, that you're outsourcing to. So those are many variables there, but you need to think through those. I think the key principle comes down to, for me, is do I have the agile and flexible workforce to meet my customers' need quickly? Because the customers' need always changing, and they demand a quick response. And then do I have waste in the system? because if I have waste, it's eroding my margin. I'm becoming less competitive in the market, and eventually that's not sustainable. Okay, so here's one more question. Knowing the makeup of the field service workforce, what can companies do to attract talent on the platform? So, great question. Again, oftentimes we hear that, like, what can I do to attract best talent in the platform to work for me, right? Think this way. I mentioned that, these are essentially, you're working with business owners, independent contractors. I view them as business owners. And if you're working with a business owner, if you're working with your partner, that may be a vendor, right? What are they looking for? They're looking for fair price, competitive rate, right? That's number one. They're looking for working with someone who can give clear expectation of the job, what's the outcome, and through the entire process, they have clear communication process. Nothing vague, nothing, that comes back as kind of, I thought you'd do this, but you did the other thing that I didn't expect. You want to eliminate all of that. To be a better partner, the communication, the clarity in the expectation, the transparency, all of that is really, really important. So those are a couple of things I could think of. So maybe this is our last question here. How do techs differentiate themselves and receive more work? It's a really good question because, as I mentioned in the presentation, that we are adding hundreds of techs, hundreds of techs joining our platform, and it's a competitive environment. It's a very competitive environment. So it's oftentimes hard for newer techs to rise up and create their history in the platform. And what happens is that technicians that have history, a lot of history, a lot of ratings, a lot of customer relationship, they have a very secure position in the marketplace. They keep getting more and more work. And so for the newer guys, it's very, very challenging. So some of the things to think about is that, make sure that you have a complete profile, because that's your storefront. You gotta have a good profile with a picture, professional picture, complete your resume. Your profile is your resume. So that's number one. Complete background check and drug screens, right? And for the first few work, do a really good job. Try to build that relationship so the customer tags you. I don't know if this is very clear for the technician side. Our customers, the service buyers, they can add you to their preferred list, meaning that once you in the customer's preferred list, next time they have a job in that location, you show up as the person who completed the job in the past and in the preferred list. So complete the profile, have a professional picture, background check, drug screen, do a good job, build a good relationship with the customer, go extra mile to build that relationship, stand out from the crowd. All of that can help you build that portfolio ultimately that you're building on the Field Nation platform. Looks like we don't have any questions. Thank you all very much. I really enjoyed. First of all, I really enjoyed studying the research data myself, and I was excited to share this with you all. So thank you so much for making time, joining the webinar. Hopefully you find this useful, valuable, something that you can use. And if you have questions, send it our way at Field Nation, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thank you.